for military equipment report. Um, I guess everyone also is aware that the department has the community meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock on 81st Avenue. I hope many of you who can attend that. I think all the three ad hoc commissioners plan to be there, as my understanding. Commissioner Farmer informed me that he may not be able to make it to our ad hoc today. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to see if we could particularly focus on today. One was there any we spent quite a bit of time talking about the Bearcat. I am under the understanding that the department will not be replacing the Bearcat from our last ad hoc. I don't know if we need to confirm that. And then, so there's the question of whether there's other equipment that we should consider. And then there's the question about whether or not there's a recommendation to approve or disapprove the 2024 report. I mean, we've struggled through it to get to where we are now. We have the community meeting tomorrow. There may be some outcomes from the community meeting that we'll also want to consider. And then to bring all of that to the commission meeting for this July the 24th meeting. So that's kind of what we have before us. So let's be clear first. I don't know if Kevin Perez, you might respond to where we are in the back Bearcat. We're not replacing the Bearcat, is that right?
No, I will thank you and good evening, everybody. So the Bearcat obviously has been a topic of concern for years. Um, and I think the last time, and I mentioned this, we had that non-binding resolution with the police commission. We are open to replace the Bearcat. But as I mentioned before, I want to replace it with something that's equal or better that fits our needs. I know there was a lot of questions when it came to how many people, and I think Jennifer, you asked how many people could fit in a like conventional armor vehicle as opposed to a Bearcat. The answer to that was it's a large amount. Like as I mentioned before, the Bearcat that we have right now can fit up to 8 people. Uh, the biggest thing, and I said it before, is it's it offers us the ability to put a gurney in there and to do transports and to have medical personnel in the Bearcat. There are 10 teams, so they can, if needed, provide medical aid either to a staff member or a civilian. Um, it also affords us, obviously, the part on the top, what we call the turret. And it's pretty much what it is it's a hatch, and you open that hatch and you have visibility. Uh, we use that when again when we're doing operations where the target location or place that we're looking at it sits at a higher ground than where our vehicle stands, so that provides protection. Now, our armor Suburban does not have a hatch, and that is like a problem for us because if that vehicle was to be disabled or catch on fire, there's no emergency exit for the Suburban. So that's been a big issue for us, and we are considering obviously a replacement for that. Um, I guess before we get into even more of that, one of the questions that I was not able to ask you guys last time is what is the number one reason that the for the replacement of the Bearcat? Is it the looks, the color, or what is it that that is causing for it to be replaced?
I don't know who would want to additionally respond, but my understanding is that it's a sizable military vehicle that um, represents um, feeling in the community that they're being occupied by a military force, that it is that psychological force of a vehicle of that size being constantly running through particular community because it's essentially a flatland community. It's not used anywhere else in the city. You don't see a vehicle like that being used.
Okay. That's for, Mr. Lindsay. You I see your hand
Go
raised.
ahead, John.
Well, I don't think we can speak for the entire community. There's been years of community expression about why the Bearcat is seen as I think Commissioner Riles expressed it pretty well. That a lot of different people over years of time have expressed this. And, I think that also came to a head after the killing of Joshua Pollock, when, when the Monitor concluded that the hatchet, the turret was, and the Bearcat itself was used as a shooting platform and um, not as cover, for officers against gunfire. So, there's that incident, but I concur with Commissioner Riles that, it runs through brown and black neighborhoods in the city, and there is a Suburban that's an armored vehicle. I don't know how many people that seats, but or how many people a Bearcat seats if you've got a gurney in it. But um, there are other vehicles, and the department itself in 2021 gave a presentation about alternatives. To me, the bigger question is why hasn't the department moved on that resolution? Because it was an agreement. It was, you can say, why are people opposing it? Well, the opposition occurred over years and years, years ago. And then there was a resolution, and then nothing happened. So my bigger question is, why didn't the department act on it?
I think all fair questions. There's a couple of things. We when we deploy this vehicle, obviously we keep record of when it's being deployed, and it's deployed based on the needs and of the department, wherever that need may come from, right? And we keep record of it. I have never, like me personally, experienced during callouts, got any negative feedback from community. And you guys mentioned it yourselves. It is used most on the flatlands. That is a fact. That's why I want to have the community meeting there. When we are there, we have never received any feedback from community members within those locations. Again, I'm not fighting it. However, I do want to that was one of my inquiry for me personally since I took over the SOD because I know this has been going on for a while, right? Another reason we have not replaced it is cost. This piece of equipment is going to be $500,000. The Bearcat we got through UASI grant. We don't have funds right now for a Bearcat. We'll present options, and Lieutenant Gonzalez can speak to this. We have some options, but at the same time, I think we need to come to an agreement where uh, whatever piece of equipment we select to be replaced, I don't want to pick a vehicle that is not going to meet our needs, right? I think it has to be a piece of equipment that it suffices the needs of the people that are going to operate it. And again, I mean, we train everybody, not everybody, but the people that are have access to it is trained, and we keep record of this. It's got to be authorized by commanders per policy. We created policy because of the Pollock issue. Um, when it came to the monitor saying that we use that as a shooting platform, I mean, that's his opinion. However, I mean, the outcome of all that, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, everything was overturned because the officers didn't do anything wrong. Um, again, we're here to be as transparent as possible we can and to find that middle ground with what we think is going to be, I guess, uh, fit our needs, right? And again, I'm not trying to say the Bearcat's not going to be replaced. We need the Bearcat, but we do need a piece of equipment that's going to fit our needs. And again, I'll let Lieutenant Gonzalez speak to it as to the model that we've been presenting. You mentioned that the Suburban. The Suburban does not have the same equipment that the Bearcat has. The Suburban lacks a hatch. If there was something to happen in the Suburban where the operators are trapped and they can't get out because the doors are stuck, there's no emergency hatch on that. And this is known to our chain of command, and that's why they're the next if we have a replacement, we're looking for something to have that, right? Because we have to make sure that our operators are safe.
Maybe before Lieutenant Gonzalez speaks, Jennifer, you had something you wanted to say too, I think.
Yeah, I just want to notice that Erickson Amaya just showed up because before I met him, I still remember a very powerful public comment he gave on the impact the Bearcat has on communities because he's an educator, and so he was able to speak to that. Um, One thing I am wondering about this ad hoc committee is I am noticing the time, and I think there's a lot of room for discussion here. But there's also other things that I'm wondering if it's important to address. I do have three policy-related questions since that was brought up. One is about the Bearcat policy and how it's not been followed by the department. Specifically, there was a reference to the deployment logs, and the policy for the Bearcat says that the department has to notify and post these deployments. But OPD stopped that practice in 2023. So that's one policy issue that I'm wondering if we could address. The other two issues is pertaining to the community meeting that's coming up on Wednesday. The state law does require the OPD annual use report to be posted ahead of the community meeting. That's so that way community members have the opportunity to review it. It's substantial. A lot of work went into it, and I hope people get the chance to read it and can come prepared and have good discussions. And so just wanted to check in on that. And then the other piece that's related to it is I know the website is still newly redone, but the state law does require that when for the duration in which weapons are authorized for use, that the associated policies must be available to the public. And I'm not sure we have all of the policies available online yet. I think the chemicals one, the TBVF02, I think. I'm not too sure about that one. So those are the three policies, but also the overarching question of how should we be focusing our time? Lots to dig into.
Also, Lieutenant Gonzalez, if you might hear from Commissioner DeWitt.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Commissioner Dawitt. I'm a newer commissioner to this militarized equipment ad hoc. I know that the police commission had previously taken up a position on the Bearcat. I'm not so sure of how I personally feel about that. Looking at our police commission charter section one, A1, to establish constitution is to establish constitutional policing and customs to conform to national standards. With that being said, just looking into regional standards of our partnering agencies, there are many agencies around us who use the Bearcat. Contra Costa, San Jose, San Francisco, Fremont, San Leandro, Gilroy, Redwood City, Fairfield, Vallejo, and the list goes on. So I'm not sure how I feel about the previous police commission's position on repealing the Bearcat or not allowing not allowing Oakland Police to get a new Bearcat. But I think it's important to note that all of our partner agencies use these vehicles, and previously this vehicle was bought using grant money given to us by either the federal or the state government. With that being said, I want to make sure that we can come to some sort of compromise with the community and the Oakland Police Department without having to compromise safety and the utilitarian nature of the vehicle. So those are just some of my high level thoughts. I am a newer commissioner to this ad hoc, so I will be learning as I go, but those are just some of my high level thoughts.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead, Lieutenant Gonzalez, and then we'll come back to Mr. Manya.
Good evening, everybody. So yes, like great points. We would absolutely love to replace the Bearcat. It is an aging piece of equipment that gets used probably the most out of any of the military equipment. You'll see that in the presentation tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. DeWitt, for your comments. I think you put that was well said, that it is national standard to use a Bearcat. When it comes to terrorizing the community, my lived experience being on the SWAT team for 24 years is that's an absolute false narrative. When we drive through the streets of Oakland in the Bearcat, we get nothing but waves, thumbs up, kids coming up, wanting to look inside, wanting to crawl on it. We used to take the Bearcat in the city of Oakland's Christmas parade, where you put kids on top of it and hand out toys to the community. So I absolutely disagree based on my experiences about that comment that it terrorizes the community. That being said, we all need to work together on this, and we are willing. We would love to replace it, like I said, because it's an aging piece of equipment. And we do have some replacements that we'd like to present to the committee and the commission. And hopefully we can all come to an agreement.
Thank you, Lieutenant Gonzalez. So just to follow up a little bit on that, you'd like to replace it, but we don't have the money right now. So it means that at the point that you would have the money is when you would like to replace it. Is that right?
Absolutely. And obviously with the input of this committee and the commission. So we can all
Go ahead.
mutual understanding, mutual agreement.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Amaya Erickson.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Apologize for coming late. Had a struggle just getting my Wi-Fi together, but yeah, just wanted to follow up with the comment from Jennifer. I live on Deep East Oakland, District 7. Have lived there for 20 plus years, and an educator for schools like Resdale and beyond, here in OUSD and in West Oakland. So I've seen both sides of the field, where this deployment of the Bearcat is always used, and random places from like probably seen it across the sideshow, probably seen it used as a battery ram and on another vehicle, and tons of story. And in my school, Resdale, like 3 years back, I believe, when the school shooting happened, which didn't happen inside the school. It was like it just neighborhood conflict, and which resulted people getting shot. And I was aware that the Bearcat was deployed, but it wasn't used as an emergency. It was just literally another vehicle outside, disrupting the traffic. And the whole entire scene was blocked off, and tons of agencies, like CHP, the sheriffs, Oakland, you even probably had San Leandro up in there too. But I just wanted to go back, yes, there is an importance of having like the standard equipment, right? Just like a teacher uses a pencil, but at the same time, like, is this equipment also necessary? Because whether or not it's said that, the main intention is to use it for the safety and also for I think rescue scenarios. I didn't see that happen in my 20 plus years here as being a resident of DP Stokeland and working with kids that also too have came across this vehicle. And, I just wanted to say all that, in our society, there is a big push when it comes to military equipment. And, one of the first things that kids probably say is, I want to be a soldier or something like that, because it's constantly bombarded onto us, So I will beg to differ on the community's perspective, especially when it comes to seeing this vehicle in person. You know, everybody shows emotions different, and this vehicle has harmed people, and clearly someone died from the platform of this vehicle. And I just always want to remind folks that um of those stories and those family members that were impacted. So, and going back to the school thing, I know that was like a wide like all these different agencies come together. If there's no budget for it, why don't you just borrow it? Why don't you utilize it? I doubt San Andreas uses it all the time, and all these cities across. So just want to put that out there. I think OPD has other things on their hands that they need to cover before saying we need this equipment. That's yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Amani. Captain Perez and then Lieutenant Gonzalez.
Yeah, so I'll say a couple of things. The Bearcat has been used for rescue. We use it during oikos and we use it during 321. We also use it during an officer involved shooting, where actually Lieutenant DQ was involved working with me that day, where a violent crime happened. We tried to peace surrender of this individual for more than 3 hours, and it ended up in an incident up in the hills. So again, we don't get to pick where we're going to use this vehicle. The intelligence and the information takes us to the scenes. Um, and I'll leave it at that for now. I'll let Lieutenant Gonzalez speak. But Jennifer, I have not forgot about your questions. Whenever you're ready, I'll be ready to answer those questions.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Lieutenant Gonzalez.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Mr. Amaya for bringing up that specific incident. We're talking about a potential active shooter at a school, one of the worst scenarios that we have to train for and have to think about. And luckily, in that incident, there was nobody injured that we needed to use the Bearcat to rescue. But if there was, that we had to go in where a suspect was still armed, barricaded, and we needed that vehicle to provide protection and effective rescue. That's exactly why we have it. That's exactly why we train with it. And this is going, all the way back to Columbine and Sandy Hook. These are the things that happen across our country time and time again, and we forget about, but this is exactly why we need a vehicle with the capabilities of the Bearcat. So thank you, Mr. Amaya, for bringing that up.
Ms. Joseph?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? I was having technical difficulties. I wanted to speak to Jennifer's questions about the website, but I also want to speak to the young man who just spoke about the Bearcat. I've been on both sides of the fence when it comes to policing and the Bearcat. I've never experienced negativity with it, even in my community reactions. But I can say where I live, it's needed. If you look everywhere on the news, you're always seeing somebody is attacking the community members. Somebody's doing something. The police officers put their lives on the line every day. Every day. We don't know when we're going to get a call that their lives are going to be in danger. So you have to look at it from the perspective of it's insurance in the event of. You don't anticipate getting into a car accident every day, but you still have your insurance in the event of something happening. And so that's how I look at things because I know where I live and I'm always hearing gunshots. The police are always outgunned and outmanned. And if they're supposed to go out there every day and put their lives on the line to protect the community, I think we should be able to support them in these things. So that's what I have to say about that. And as far as the website goes, again, as you all know, I had to do training. I only got 1 hour of training. That's what was available. However, if you notice on the website today, I uploaded all of the impact reports, and I've learned how to create one hyperlink. I'm going to create all the hyperlinks in the morning so that I can um, update the report. And yes, it will be published before the community meeting tomorrow.
All right. Did you want to speak again, Captain?
Yeah, I just want to add just to
You're muffled,
You're muted, actually. You were.
muted.
can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, Jennifer, so to answer your question about record keeping of the Bearcat, obviously you guys have access to the Excel sheet that documents, it's pretty much the version of our MEU that I've spoken about. When we went into, when we started inputting the Bearcat deployments into the MEU report, which is our vision report, that's how they reflect, and that's how we create those reports. Tomorrow, bring a copy, an example of one of them. And again, anytime that the Bearcat's deployed, it gets broadcasted over the radio or it's included in an ops plan. And everything that we say on our radios is recorded. So, example, if somebody's requesting for the Bearcat, it gets approved. Once it gets approved, we create on Vision, which is a system that we use to create reports. It's called the MEU, the Military Utilization Equipment report, and it talks about everything that needs to be included in that report: location, time, purpose, what equipment was deployed, was there any damage, was there any injuries, was there any complaints. It covers all those fields in that report, and that report gets recorded and memorialized in that report. We went from using the Excel sheet before we integrated that report into our vision report, and that's why that changed. But we have not stopped reporting on the deployments of the Bearcat.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, so I was not part of the original ad hoc that had created the policies, so I'm hoping someone else might be able to jump in and share more on this. My impression was the policy required monthly reporting on the Bearcat report usage. And I'm also wondering about the there's a gap in 2023 in terms of the public's access to reports on the Bearcat deployment. Because when the website's monthly reports stopped, the previous year's 2023 annual use report didn't include the that nice table spreadsheet that was provided this year.
Yeah, I wasn't part of that original discussion too, so I can't answer that question. Go ahead, John.
So I was just going to put in the chat what the policy says. And it says notifications of deployment shall include dissemination of information to the department PIO and through department social media channels. So I've never seen it in the department's social media channels. I don't know. I mean, I've looked. I've never seen it there. What I have seen is the monthly reports until August of 2023. So for a couple of years, there were monthly reports that were posted, and then they stopped. And so the community has no eyes on this. There's internal reporting. I totally take your word for it. But that's not the same as letting the community know, okay, we deployed this thing at this particular time, et cetera, et cetera. That's what the policy says.
Ms. Joseph?
You're on mute.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm working from my phone, so it's kind of difficult. But I want to say that our public information officer used to come, he used to ping me and say, I need the report. And I remember because he was doing it monthly. He was taking what I was doing and he was publishing it on the website. And he has not said anything to me about it, but maybe that's why it's not there. So I will follow up with him to see if maybe that was something that he stopped doing because I briefly remember that. But
When you get that information, can you communicate to me what happened?
sure. But what I can say is since this new website is up, there's certain content that I'm going to be responsible for when it comes to militarized equipment. And because that Bearcat is considered, it may be something that I can post. I'm trying to figure out how because the person, our instructor today who was helping me upload the documents, he said that our spreadsheet something legally that should not be viewed or published online. But you know, he said I told him it was locked, but as long as it's locked, it should be okay. But we'll try and work around it and find out how we can accommodate everything. Because it's not that we don't want to be transparent, because that is my mission. That's my goal. That is that's what my objective is to have complete transparency with the public because we need to strengthen the trust between the public and the police department because we're working together. Um, it's just we just don't have the bandwidth. I'm one person doing I have many hats on right now. So it's not that I don't want to. It's just I'm trying to do everything and it's trying to prioritize it. So, but I appreciate the concerns, but we are working on it. We are sincerely.
Okay. We've spent a lot of time on the Bearcat. So John, John has a list of other things. Before we get to the things that John has listed, Jennifer, did you have another comment you wanted to make?
Just a real quick question for Miss Joseph, and also much appreciation to you for the efforts, especially while there's a new website redo that means you have to redo everything. Do you also update the Power DMS where the policies are posted, or is that someone else? Because I'm just wondering. I know you said that you would post the use report ahead of the community meeting, but I'm not sure about the policies, if that's you or someone else who would be posting that. Oh, you're on mute.
Go
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not responsible for Power DMS. I was just learned that I'm responsible for what is going on in at the OPD's website for militarized equipment. And so because the controlled equipment impact reports refer to the equipment that I'm using, that I'm responsible for, I should say, I have published those on the website under militarized equipment. I just uploaded everything. The same folder that I gave you all access to, those of you who did get it, that information is now on the website. The only thing that's not there is the report, the annual report, but it will be there in the morning.
Okay. John, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to follow up on the Power DMS thing because what AB 41 requires is that the policies that govern the use of the military equipment be posted on the department's site. And so most of those policies are equipment specific and they're on the Power DMS page. So chemical agents, I just checked, are still not there. That's what Jennifer mentioned before of the training bulletin VF02, I believe it is. And that's a very relevant one because we can, in context this year, we can expect protests and the policies for use of chemical agent and tear gas should be available to the public in addition to being required by the law. Um, the one other issue that I just wanted to raise is a different one, and it's around the acquisition of 75 more rifles. But and I see it's a little after 7 already. We're going until 7:30. So but it's a substantive issue um, that I wanted to ask about. Um, but I don't want to cut off anything else that's still feeling, needs resolution, including about the website.
I can answer to that if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the rifles in question are part of the patrol rifle program. I know I covered it last time. So right now we have over 50 rifles, I believe, uh, that we had for quite a while. The life expectancy of these rifles, it's about depends. It goes by years or round count. It depends on how much it's being used. An example, as I mentioned last time, the officers train 6 times a year with this equipment. Not only do they do tactics or reality-based training like scenarios, but they also shoot, right? So obviously, the wear and tear of the rifles eventually starts causing problems on the rifle. I don't know how much you guys are familiar when it comes to marksmanship and accuracy. When we call it a zero, that means that for a rifle to have a proper zero, it needs to be fine-tuned. The moment that the rifle does not keep its real a true zero and it's not shooting right, then it's a liability for us. Because if a weapon is not shooting accurately, then it's got to take it out of service. Now,
Okay, understood. So Mike, you're saying there are 50 or up to 50 rifles. Are they going to be taken out of service? Because
yes,
the report did not say that.
no, we once we get funding to replace them, this is what we do. We try to be as fiscally responsible as we can. So this is what we do. There's a program that exists through the vendors that they'll take our used rifles and they'll give us new ones. And that, I mean, they're not gonna pay us what we pay for them, right? They'll pay us like pennies on the dollar pretty much. But it's still we get to salvage some of that money, and that money gets invested in the new rifles. Right now, what we're doing, the companies the vendors, they're sending us their equipment. We're trying it, we're testing it to see what we want to acquire once the life expectancy of these rifles come, which is now it's already we're there. We're just waiting again on funding. Obviously, we all know the financial stress that the city's in. But this is something that was brought up to our chain of command, and they're aware that this huge expense it's needed if they want to keep the patrol rifle program alive. Now,
Okay.
this is
So I didn't quite finish the question initially because I was waiting to see whether we had resolved other things, and I see Mr. Dowitt's hand as well. But I have several questions about this. One is that these are very expensive rifles. More than $5,000 a rifle is a very expensive rifle, more expensive than the Colt LE series or other types of rifles. Most of the rifles that the department owns. So that's one question. But the second is something of what you just said. You said you're testing them, but on the other hand, you're proposing specific models of rifles to acquire. And there's no statement in the acquisition thing that you're going to get rid of these rifles, that you're going to exchange them, which would reduce, it would either keep the same number of rifles in that particular Bravo model, or you would reduce the number in another model. In addition, there's 75 for acquisition, and you just mentioned 50. So there's all these questions that for me, in a situation where the amount of gunfire crime, firearms crime in Oakland has gone down by 30% last year. So in that context, trying to get more rifles without getting rid of other ones, at least not saying that you're getting rid of them, it raises a lot of questions about what the department is doing.
no. Let me correct.
Before you do that, let's see what Commissioner DeWitt has to ask or to give.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This is more in line with John's questions. I am somewhat familiar with the platform. I guess my concern is if these rifles are losing their zeros, like from a cost effectiveness standpoint, why is it that we can't just get a complete brand new like upper receiver group, for example, or replace the barrel or I don't know, the bolt carrying group or something of that nature. $5,000 is a lot of money for a new rifle. Even top of the line rifles like people would consider Daniel Defense or anything like that does not cost $5,000 per rifle. You can get a brand new Daniel Defense for 2 grand or something like that. Where is this inflated cost to a very standardized shooting platform coming from?
Captain, please.
You're on mute.
Yeah, no, good questions. And I was going to answer Mr. Lindsay. I'm not sure where you got the $5,000 from. That's not a correct number. The AR-15 platform rifles that we're trying to replace, which is part of the PRO program, the Daniel Defense was brought up. We're also trying Bravo Company. I believe those platforms, just the rifle itself, right? Not including the equipment. It's about, I believe, between 17 to $2,000 a rifle. Now, does not include, again, the accessories, right? Talking about red dot, the flashlight, and other components that the rifles need to have. We have consulted and talked about, and this is for Sam, about replacing the upper receivers, the lower receivers, and we've been doing that. Again, the rifles are more than, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Lieutenant Gonzalez, I think the rifles are like 10 to 12 years old. And that's how we've been able to do maintenance with these rifles. But at what point it comes to a point where they're just not functional for us anymore, and they become a liability. And that's why we find the best options that we can. And again, I mean, we will be transparent on every transaction that we do, and that's why I'm here to explain the process, how it works. But those $5,000, that's not correct information. The rifles are about between $17,000 to $2,000, depending on what the vendor is, and that includes equipment. And I'll let Lieutenant Gonzalez add to that.
Sorry,
So
if I could just quickly add, page 78 of the report is for that 5,695 per item is listed for the Bravos.
And then there's also there's a total cost of 478 or something like that thousand that are also listed for the Bravos.
So once again, that's for all the accessories that go on the rifle, which are just as important as a rifle. We need a light, a well-functioning light so we can illuminate targets at night and target identification. We need a proper optic on it so we can make accurate shots. And Mr. DeWitt brought up a great point about losing zeros. Yes, we can absolutely just replace the barrels and the uppers, but at the same time, replacing the whole rifle is a better way to go because we still have problems with the lower receivers and the trigger mechanism. However, if we can't get the funding, just replacing the option might be our only option, replacing the uppers. So thank you again, Mr. DeWitt, for your knowledge.
And Lieutenant Gonzalez, can you confirm that the department will dispose of the 50 rifles that are losing their zero? Because
100%. Those
that's
rifles
not stated in the report. It's not stated in the report.
Well, that's a mistake on our part. Every time we buy new rifles, all the old rifles go back for credit. So sorry, it's not in the report.
And why? So that is a 25 more than you'd be getting rid of.
Yes, we'd absolutely love. We've had 50 rifles since the beginning of the patrol rifle program, which was almost over 20 years ago, following the LA bank robberies, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with, where LAPD was outgunned for a long time.
We know.
Yeah. So we would love to increase the numbers because 20 years of having the same rifle, and you did bring up the point about how gun violence is down in Oakland, and that's a wonderful thing. But the patrol rifles are, once again, that insurance for the worst case scenario when we have to go out and save a life from somebody else.
So let me ask this a different way.
So the 75 rifles, I'm sorry, would be to increase the program for better coverage, because right now we don't have enough rifles for coverage on nights and weekends. There's some nights, some weekends that there are no rifles being deployed to the street. So
Would the number of officers who are authorized to use a patrol rifle be increased by 25?
absolutely, we'd have 25 more officers trained and attending trainings and all that, which would be a great benefit for the community.
You're
Well,
saying,
thank you guys for the clarity. That's good. I was wondering, Mr. Geis, whether you had any questions or issues you wanted to bring up?
I'm also new to this program. I'm listening and I'm familiar with rifles and lifespans. So it I haven't seen the actual numbers and I'd like to look at it a little closer.
Okay. Yeah. Hope you can attend the community session tomorrow too. Um, so in terms of we're coming down pretty close to the end of time. Our time. Let's see who is that? That's Mr. Amaya. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, for the training of each officer, of these rifles, is the hours or is there like a quantifiable number, that is represented in the report of like, hey, this how many hours it takes to, get another marksman?
We don't have it.
Oh, you're going on.
Sorry about that. We don't have it to that granular level as I explained it last time. I don't know if you were part of the meeting, but the patrol rifle, when an officer wants to become a patrol rifleman, the school is 2 weeks long, right? There's a lot of training that goes into it. There's policy that they have to obviously understand and master. When you deploy a rifle, they can't just deploy because they want to. It has to meet the criteria. It's almost like the Bearcat. Everything is in policy, and it has to meet that criteria for that rifle to be deployed. Once the rifle is deployed, the officer gets on the radio and says KDE, meaning it notifies you and it memorializes that a rifle was deployed. And again, that goes to accountability and record keeping, right? Like I said, the school is 2 weeks. We train 6 times a year. Each day that we train is 10 hours. And within those 10 hours comes obviously maintenance, marksmanship, and tactics. And tactics comes with either yard searches, active shooter training, reality-based training, anything that
Okay.
we can prepare for, that's what we do. And the way we do the math is we average the hourly rate that officer gets paid. We multiply that by 10 hours, 6 times a year. We don't do granular like, oh, it costs us so much for this. We just don't have the bandwidth for that. It's not that we don't want to. I know we covered this before. Our fiscal department can't even help us with that because we're obviously such short staff that we cannot. This was the best idea that we can come up with, and it's not because we're not trying to be transparent or anything. This is like the best number we can put on when it comes to training and cost.
Yeah, I hear that, but I also hear 2 weeks, and yeah, I would just like that to be represented in all of that. And I hear that 10 hour, it sounds like a number to me, so I would like that to be represented if possible, especially with that 2 weeks, you know?
Okay.
All right, Jennifer.
Yeah, I know we're coming up on time. It just sounds like there's a lot of opportunity for transparency from the department here, and that this conversation has been bringing up. It sounds like there's an opportunity to make it much more explicit, that you plan to both replace existing rifles with new rifles, and that you also intend to increase the total number of rifles, and associately the total number of patrol rifle officers. And so I think what we're looking for, or what I'm hearing, is to have that transparency in the report ahead of the community meeting tomorrow. So making it explicit what rifles will be decommissioned should the new rifles be approved, how many in addition to the current stock of rifles that would be and what the financial impact of that increase would be. Because the state law does require that the financial impact be a part of that. And with Oakland's budget where it is, I think it's just fair to all of us to really understand what that fiscal impact is beyond the acquisition cost.
Yeah, I think that's also part of the state, it's part of the city regulations to have that information in the report. Any other questions? And then I would ask whether there's any kind of assistance that the department might need for tomorrow that we might be prepared to offer. Who's going to be conducting the meeting tomorrow?
Tomorrow in the meeting, I'm going to be hosting the meeting, and with me is going to be Lieutenant DQ Dazakiros, who's the SME for the drones. It's going to be Lieutenant Gonzalez, who's our SME for our SWAT team. And I'm also going to bring Lieutenant Chris Cardona, who is our expert when it comes to chemical munitions and explosive breaching. And then obviously Kima, who's the head and lead on all this project. And I do want to recognize all of her hard work and that she's been putting into this. Again, it's not a lack of transparency. It's just that our department, we just transitioned too much from unit to unit. I just got moved here last year, and when I came, I inherited this product, and I'm working with her and everybody else to make this better. And I'm glad that we're having these meetings, and that's the whole purpose of this, to make sure that obviously you guys keep us accountable and that we be as transparent as we possibly can.
So part of the recommendation that I will take again to the commission is that we meet on a more regular basis than just annually, that we become much more of a part of your process. So as you begin to identify funds that you're going to go after for certain items, that you bring that request to the commission. That's also in the city legislation, and that gets approved before you actually go out and find the vendor and the equipment, and that when you receive the vendor, that the commission gets the commission gets a notice of that. And we're going to try as a commission to stay in much closer contact with the Public Safety Committee of the council, which they're part of the decision making of the department, particularly around the budget, but also in the legislation around these choices that you're making about equipment. It's both the commission and the council that has to approve these items. I know that we haven't been doing that, maybe not since the legislation was passed, but that's the way the legislation is written. And there's a understanding that this is equipment that the city overall needs to be a part of the decision making with the department on. It's not you guys by yourself. We want to work with you for your safety and for our safety and well-being. And we appreciate your willingness to get into this with us at this level so that we can make your work and our needs fit together in a safe way. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And John, do you had a statement?
Oh, yeah, I also just want to appreciate, I know there's a lot of work and really appreciate that. And there has been council review of these policies before. It actually led to some changes in the chemical agent use policy. Um, but and I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. I know of some community members outside of who's here tonight who will be there. So I think it does serve a real purpose. I'm not sure I got real clarity. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but on the rifles, what is because I heard 17 or 1800, and then I heard, that's what all the accessories cost. They might cost much more than that. And also, I also heard, I think Lieutenant Paris, you say you're piloting something to determine which is going to be the best rifle. So that would suggest that you haven't actually decided on that particular Bravo model, which has a formal request for acquisition in the report. So I'm a little on those 2 points. I'm a little confused about what the
No, really good question. So the price on that you see on the 5,695 is like Lieutenant Gonzalez said, right? So like I'll give you an example. I think Colt used to be our go-to company, but then when Colt started using their military, like the mil spec was off, we received a whole batch of rifles where the bolts were bad. So that kind of broke trust with us. And even the military went to Bravo Company, which is what we stuck with on some of the rifles that we got. Um, right now, we are looking at other companies where, like, pretty much we're T&Eing the rifles. We have not made a decision. We look at many things, right? We look at quality, we look at cost, we look if they're compatible with what we're used to when it comes to gear. Um, just as an example, a Colt rifle probably going to cost you like $1,700, right? Like what we call a patrol rifle program, a patrol rifle, sorry. Now, a red optic can cost you all the way from $800-900. A flashlight is like another $500. The grip, the buttstock, the other accessories they go into it are they're all it's obviously all extra money. So what we try to do, and Officer Thurston is kind of the lead on this. He has given proposals to include replacing some of the parts. But ultimately, what we want is just to replace the whole platform. And we have not committed to anything. And again, yes, we do, like Lieutenant Gonzalez brought it up, we want to expand the program from 50 to 78 because, like he mentioned, we don't have coverage for throughout the city 7 days a week. We're short on nights when that are needed the most sometimes because of certain crime trends that happen during the night. So that's pretty much it. I hope I answered that question. And I do want to add just in light of transparency, how we do this transfers is the same way that we do our Glock pistols. Anytime that we replace our Glocks, I know it's not military equipment, Glock comes in and buys our old guns. Uh, and then they give us credit for that. Let's say the department paid $500 for a Glock. I'm giving an example. They'll probably give us like $200 for the Glocks that we have. We take all that credit and then purchase the new equipment. And obviously, we have receipts and record keeping of everything because everything has to get approved through not only us but the council and everybody. We'll do and we'll keep trying to do a better job. And I agree, Mr. Riles, when it comes to meeting more, I think a quarterly would be something that we can do. That way we're like all on the same page and we can present propositions to you and when we're trying to acquire new equipment. I mentioned it earlier on the last one. We did get asset forfeiture money granted to us, and we are planning to buy more drones. There are needed. The ones that we have are outdated. They're getting to that point where they're not going to be functionable. And thankfully, we were secured money from asset forfeiture money. It's not going to cost the city anything because I believe, and Lieutenant DQ, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we can buy drones with general fund money.
That's correct. Yeah. When we got the agenda report and the policy approved to the PAC, one of the requests was not to utilize city funds. And then we went to city council. They also agreed not to use city funds to purchase that. If we change that, that'd be amazing. But right now, we're not allowed to use city funds. And then also there is no such grants at the moment for drones. So securing this funding has been crucial. So great job by Captain EPA.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, I think this was a very good meeting, and we look forward to seeing many of you tomorrow, and then the commission meeting on the 24th. And you will be notified of the next ad hoc meeting.
Thank you
Goodbye,
guys.
everybody.
Appreciate it. See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Have a great
Bye.
night.